Ladies and gentlemen, I am a survivor. I'm a survivor in life. I am not what has happened to me. I am what I've chosen to be. I have become strong, positive, and healthy in body and mind. Some of you may recognise me from this year's Australian Survivor, Heroes versus Villains. With my life experiences and my ability to live through the moment, I have achieved what many thought was unachievable. After 47 days in the game, at 64 years of age, I became the oldest survivor and the oldest runner-up in Australian Survivor in history. In saying this, I know that it was my ability to be able to live in the moment that allowed me to achieve this. Today, I'm going to share with you part of my life story. Let's wind back the clock to 1990. I have always been determined and focused. I was young, unemployed, married, one child at foot, another one on the way, and with a fresh commercial pilot's licence, with an unemployment check and borrowing $400 from a good friend, limited resources, and just a business idea, my business, Air Fraser Island, came to fruition. The business grew successfully, and over the years, we had gradually become a multi-million-dollar business. We had a great life and a great lifestyle. Then in 2001, tragedy struck. I was a passenger in a twin-engine aircraft. This aircraft I was actually thinking about buying. But anyway, we were taking it for a test run. 2 minutes into the flight, both engines cut out. We crashed just short of the end of the runway. My injuries were life-threatening. My chest took out the control column. My face was embedded into the instrument panel. I was actually breathing out through my eyes. I was then transported by helicopter to ICU at the local hospital. Had emergency surgery on my face, placed on life support. I had no way of communicating with the people around me. All I could do was just withdraw into myself to focus on the immediate task, and that was to stay alive. A week later, I was transported to Brisbane. There, with severe head injuries, 7 fractured vertebrae from my neck to my lower back. Then, over the next 14-month period, I was in and out of hospital for multiple operations. It was a long and challenging recovery. At this point, my goal was solely just to think of my recovery, not looking too far ahead, and just rather tackle each day as it came and focus on my healing. Once recovered enough and surviving an accident that I should have been killed, I thought, wow, I do have a second chance of life. I'm not going to waste this. I wanted to build now a fun and financial future for my family. So I expanded the aircraft business, as well as establishing an aircraft maintenance division. I acquired a fleet of four-wheel drives to hire on Fraser Island. I built a whale watching boat, started a paddy dive school, and established an eco-marine tour. Had a staff of around 30 at this point. I was motivated. Both my sons, still at school, worked on the boat and were studying for their commercial pilot's licenses. I love that we were working together for the common goal and the dream ahead. But to build a business like this, you must take risks. I was heavily in debt, but that's okay. The light at the end of the tunnel was just getting brighter and brighter. Then, bang. Along come 2007 and the global financial crisis. It hit hard, it hit fast. I virtually lost everything. Just holding on to the core business on Fraser Island. I was close to bankruptcy. Anxiety and depression took hold. It hit me hard. I felt as if I was a failure, a loser. How am I going to ever survive this? Every morning, it took everything out of me just to get out of bed. I knew I had to keep pushing through this. I couldn't and I wouldn't stop. The way I did get through this was not to think too far into the future and just dig deeper and deeper within myself, become resilient, smile, present with a positive attitude, and to live in the moment, dealing with each day as it unfolded. It took 2 long years struggling before the business slowly started to recover. It was only then that I started to feel as if I had stability back in my life. Now, I believed at this point I'd been burdened with more than enough than the average person for the challenges that I'd been through. But little did I know, I would now have to dig deeper, more than ever before. 22nd of February, 2012. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Just picture it. 3 a.m. in the morning. Lights pull into the driveway. I looked out, it was a police car. I knew my eldest son was out partying. I had a really bad gut feeling. I ran downstairs, opened the door before the police had time to knock. Yes, there's been an accident. Yes, Dane, my son, didn't make it. This has been, and probably will always be, the most heartbreaking moment of my life. The death of your child is incomprehensible. Trying to wake up out of this nightmare, I didn't think that I could cope. This is something you can never, ever get over. It took every bit of energy just to keep going. Once again, I needed to call on all my life skills, my survival instincts. even though my heart was so badly broken. And then, while doing all those things that a grieving parent must do after the death of a child, we were cleaning out his apartment. I opened up the wardrobe door. What do you know? Here's half my clothes hanging in his wardrobe. I smiled, I shook my head. Dane was always borrowing my clothes, apparently. But I did get the last laugh. You see these jeans I'm wearing? They were Dane's. I took them, they're mine, and I wear them today. I wear them quite regularly, actually. And some of you may have noticed I have a medallion around my neck. This is an imprint of my son's fingerprint. We took this imprint off my son before we sealed his coffin. I wear it. I always have part of my son with me. Losing my son this way, I was so angry for such a long time. But over the years, I have learnt to forgive. And with forgiveness, that helped ease my anger. But I'll never forget. Never. Now, battling with an alcohol dependency following Dane's death and the breakdown of a 30-year marriage, the business began to slowly fall into financial difficulty. Yeah, jaw. Once again. But one day I woke up with the realisation that this is not going to destroy me. I asked myself, how do I fix this? I needed to remember there was still joy within my life. So by pulling myself together and gaining the ability to acknowledge what had happened, accept that you can't change anything that's happened, and to find focus on the positives in life and embrace them. I then became more resilient and I worked hard and deep on myself. I knew I needed to be stronger, physically and mentally, understanding that life was always going to present me with more challenges. But hey, this was becoming my norm. So I wanted to be capable of overcoming whatever challenges came my way. And sure enough, there was more ahead for me. Yet again, I was going to survive another plane crash, having to ditch an aircraft into the ocean. My survival instincts and will to live ensured that I was capable on getting not only myself, but my trainee pilot out of a sinking aircraft and pull him back to shore safely. So then, out of nowhere, I was approached by the producers of Australian Survivor. They asked me whether I was interested in becoming a potential contestant for the show. I thought, hey, why not? I certainly have the qualifications. Yeah. I have survived 2 life-threatening plane crashes, major physical traumas to my body. I've remained in the business world against all odds. I've overcome alcohol dependency and, most of all, I've managed to survive a loss of one of my amazing sons. So surely, if I could have any chance of winning that 500,000, I've got to be in it for a crack in the prize money from Survivor. But no, it alerted me. I only became a finalist, but that's okay. Now, again, on the back foot financially, Air Fraser is still only, after the effects of COVID, just coming back. But I am now armed with many life experiences, ready to fight again, with a loving fiance, an amazing son and daughter-in-law, 2 beautiful grandkids, and a healthy, positive attitude that anything is possible. So if I can impress anything onto you today, surely it has to be, if I can survive what I have through my lifetime with a positive attitude and mindset, you too can survive. Yes, you can survive. It doesn't matter how low you feel your life has fallen. Don't give up. You cannot give up. You've got to keep going. Fight back and survive. Thank you.